After my flight was canceled, I discovered my wife was cheating. She became intoxicated and crashed when I started divorce. My life has taken so many unforeseen turns in the past year that I'm still confused. I suppose I should start over. Melanie and I met in our sophomore year at State. We met in a general education art history class despite being business majors. I was impressed by her confidence and intelligent contributions in talks. We studied together. Soon, our relationship grew. Melanie hailed from a wealthy suburban background. Her mother Linda was a top real estate salesperson, and her father Robert had a lucrative construction company. Beautiful home with pool, always luxurious vacations. Only Melanie was their child, and they loved her. My upbringing was different. My neighborhood was working class. Jim, my mechanic dad, had a small car business. Mother Karen taught elementary school. My parents worked hard to support me and my younger sister despite our limited income. Our mutual goals united Melanie and myself despite our dissimilar upbringings. We wanted to climb the corporate ladder and become successful business people. We encouraged each other in school and internships. Both of us got entry-level marketing jobs in the city after graduating. We spent our early jobs working hard hours, networking, and rising in status. 2 years after college, we married in a beautiful ceremony that combined our family's traditions. Melanie's parents gave us a large down payment for a gorgeous suburb property near her childhood home. My parents helped us move in and my dad fixed and renovated the house, but they couldn't assist financially. Our early marriage was busy yet rewarding. We both worked late and brought work home on weekends for our careers, but we always made time for each other, whether it was trying new city restaurants or taking weekend vacations to nearby villages. As our 5th wedding anniversary approached, we discussed having kids. Both of us felt financially secure and career established. We decided to try following our Hawaii anniversary trip. I noticed things changed then. Melanie appeared distracted and distant. She worked late and went out to see coworkers more. When I asked, she stated she was working on a large project that could get her promoted. I tried not to stress. She was always ambitious, and I wanted to help her succeed. Plus, our connection was always built on trust. Melanie often discussed how horrible it was to be cheated on in college. I had no idea she would betray someone. Business trips to meet potential West Coast clients were booked a month before our anniversary trip. Melanie and I planned a beautiful supper the night before my week-long trip. On my travel day, I arrived at the airport to find mechanical troubles. The flight was canceled after hours of delays. I went home, frustrated yet thrilled to surprise Melanie. So we could still have a great supper, I bought flowers and wine. I saw a strange automobile in our driveway when I arrived. I assumed Melanie's coworker dropped her off. I heard upstairs noises when I entered the house. Every step up the stairs made my heart race and my fear grow. Melanie and an unfamiliar man's voice greeted me at our bedroom door. The scene as I entered the room wrecked my world. Melanie was in bed with a stranger. Both looked astonished and scared as they ran for safety. I couldn't think or breathe. Melanie's calls behind me were ignored as I left. I drove without a destination. I ended myself at a park where Melanie and I picnicked when we first moved to the suburb. Sitting there, memories of our connection raced across my head. A rainstorm at a college football game on our first date. While in Florida, I proposed at sunset on the beach. On our wedding day, I believed my heart would burst as Melanie walked down the aisle. She did this how? How long did it continue? All of our marriage a lie. I don't remember how long I sat at the park, but I drove home at night. Crying Melanie waited for me with red, swollen eyes. She apologized and explained it was a mistake. Few times had it happened. She revealed that the man was her large project customer. She stated late-night office flirting escalated to more. She claimed it didn't matter and that she loved me. Her words flooded over me. The vision of her with another man in our bed consumed me. Our bed where we shared dreams, comforted each other, and planned our future family. Melanie, I need space. That she stay with her folks. Although she urged me to give her another chance, I felt nauseous just looking at her. The following weeks blurred. I worked hard till late to avoid going home to an empty house. I ignored Melanie and her family's calls and messages. My folks were furious when they learned. My mom was apprehensive of Melanie since she was pampered and took me for granted. Friends and co-workers could sense something was wrong, but I couldn't talk about it. How could I accept that the lady I thought I knew best had betrayed me so completely? I met with a divorce lawyer to explore my alternatives. I was devastated to think of terminating my marriage. But I didn't know how to move forward after such a huge trust breach. Melanie with that other man appeared every time I closed my eyes. People were astonished by our breakup. We were always considered the perfect pair, with everything figured out. I pretended to be strong at work but was crumbling. My appetite and sleep were off, and I lost weight quickly. Melanie kept calling, apologizing and growing irritated that I wouldn't talk. Her parents requested marriage therapy. Even contemplating reconciliation was too much for me. I saw a therapist to process my emotions. Sort of helped. Still, I felt lost. My dream of Melanie and kids becoming old together was gone. My identity was lost without her. That understanding hurt almost as much as the betrayal. Looking back, I probably missed signs. Melanie guarded her phone more. She wore extra makeup and dressed up for work. But I always prided myself on not being a jealous or suspicious husband. I trusted her entirely. She exploited that trust. As the weeks passed, our situation became clear. We had to discuss asset distribution and house disposition. We were sad to see our existence reduced to legal disputes. Melanie cheated for reasons I don't understand. Was I inattentive? Had she stopped loving me? Was she selfish and impulsive? I may never know everything. I don't know much other than that the woman I thought I knew best was a stranger. I live in our house, but it's not home. Now, tainted memories are in every room. I'm trying to focus on work and plan my future. Everything feels unknown and terrible right now. Update 1. In the 2 months after my last post, the situation has gotten worse. All of this is still overwhelming me. After recovering from shock, I was more determined to divorce Melanie. No matter how much she pleaded or how often her parents contacted me, I couldn't get past her betrayal. I officially requested her to leave our house and live with her parents while we finalized our divorce. Melanie didn't like the news. She began binge drinking for the first time. Her dinner wine became a bottle. Her job performance declined, and she was put on probation. Her parents were distraught, phoning me constantly to check on her and ask me to reconsider. I was too hurt to care about Melanie's decline. Part of me thought she deserved to suffer for ruining our marriage. I worked hard, doing extra work and staying late at work most nights. My boss understood my circumstances and even suggested a promotion provided I kept up my output. I heard a disturbance outside while working late at home a month after filing for divorce. Melanie was drunk on our porch when I opened the front door. She was unsteady, mascara smearing, and smelling of booze. She surged past me into the home, sobbing and yelling. Her complaint was that I worked late and never made time for intimacy. She blamed loneliness and unappreciation for her cheating. I attempted to quiet her, but she was hysterical. She knocked a lamp over, destroying it. She said I never loved her and cared more about my work than our marriage. Naturally, it was rubbish. I always valued our relationship. Melanie was too inebriated to reason. Her affair information emerged as she raged. It wasn't just a few times, as she stated. It lasted months. Business trips allowed her and her client to spend weekends in hotels. They discussed a future together. My heart was sliced by each discovery. I felt nauseous thinking about all the times I kissed her goodbye before she departed for a business trip, unaware she would meet her boyfriend. I imagined Melanie working late nights when she was with another man. I convinced Melanie to go after an hour. I called her parents to say she was coming home and to watch out for her. I was emotionally fatigued. I drank a heavy drink and sat in the dark, wondering how my life had gone apart. A few hours later, I received a chilling call. Melanie was in a car crash. She ran a red light and T-boned another car. Melanie was brought to the hospital with serious injuries, while the other driver was well. Despite everything, my heart fell. As mad as I was with Melanie, I never intended this to happen to her. I rushed to the hospital, imagining the worst. When I arrived, the physicians delivered the awful news. Melanie was waist-down paralyzed. They wondered if she'd walk again. The thought of my once active wife in a wheelchair was almost unbearable. The following weeks were filled with hospital appointments, doctor visits, and unpleasant family interactions. Melanie's parents were distraught. They begged me to reconsider the divorce, saying Melanie needed me more than ever. Mixed emotions from my parents. My dad sympathized, saying no one deserved this. Mom was less forgiving. She never liked Melanie, and she regarded this as Melanie paying for her recklessness. Melanie had decided to drink and drive and deceive. She reminded me. Melanie used her illness to guilt me into staying as she recovered. Physical treatment and adjusting to her new life without me were too much for her. She said her adultery was partly my responsibility for being distracted, and she was being punished. Part of me felt bad. I pondered if I could have stopped this. Would Melanie cheat less if I was home more? If I had worked on our marriage instead of divorcing, would she have drank? However, I knew Melanie's actions were hers. Despite her unfortunate accident, her treachery hurt. The months of deception, our relatives tried to help us resolve problems. Melanie's parents provided marital therapy. My dad suggested we take a break to regroup before making any big decisions. But my mom insisted that I shouldn't waste my life caring for someone who had wronged me so. Everyone was stressed by the situation. Melanie recovered slowly and poorly. Depression and anger at her health plagued her. She begged me to try our marriage again some days. She sometimes yelled at me for anything that went wrong. I struggled between helping her and moving on. I spent numerous hours at the hospital and rehab center supporting Melanie with physical treatment and mental support. But every time I saw her, I remembered her betrayal. Coworkers and friends were unsure how to react. Some called me callous for pondering divorce when Melanie was defenseless. Others understood my situation and supported my departure. It seems like everyone had advice for me. Trying to balance Melanie's care and my job hurt my work. The promised promotion looked to be slipping away. Running between the office, hospital, and legal meetings drained me. As weeks evolved into months, I faced a decision. After Melanie's accident, could I forgive her infidelity? Was this the universe's twisted way of freeing me from a shattered marriage? I was crushed by this decision. In quieter moments, I pondered about Melanie and my intended life. We should start trying for a baby. We considered buying a mountain vacation property. The dreams now seem to belong to separate people. Now I'm taking things day by day. The rehabilitation institution is helping Melanie adjust to her new life. I live in our house, but it's more like a museum of our broken marriage. While we determine Melanie's long-term care, the divorce is on hold. I don't know the future. I can sometimes get past the betrayal and help Melanie recover. Other days, the grief and rage are as fresh as when I discovered her affair. I'm trying to be patient and not hurry decisions, but uncertainty kills me. That's the situation. I'm still balancing my requirements with Melanie's demands. I don't know what to do in this impossible position. I hope I'll find peace with my choices someday. Update 2. 6 months after my last update, I've made several life changes. I divorced after considerable soul-searching and harsh conversations. It was difficult, but I felt it was right for me. Melanie's tragedy and paralysis were awful, but they didn't erase her betrayal or fix our relationship. It was messy and emotionally draining to divorce. Melanie's parents blamed me for abandoning their daughter in need. My family was split. My dad advised me to reconsider, but my mom supported my departure. I thought our settlement was fair. Melanie received a large chunk of our combined assets to support her medical and rehabilitation needs. I also committed to pay her health insurance for a year to assure her recuperation. After the divorce, I helped Melanie move in with her parents. They remodeled their home to be wheelchair accessible and supported her recuperation and adjustment. It was comforting to know she would be well cared for without me. My hardest day was dropping Melanie off at her parents' house. We enjoyed years of great memories despite everything. My goodbye to that chapter hurt. But I knew it was important. After the divorce, I worked hard. My boss was kind and offered me a promotion that required moving to our company's office in another city. I welcomed the chance to start over. Moving to a new city was thrilling and worrisome. I had to leave my community of friends and family after a difficult year. But I saw it as an opportunity to start over and create my own life. My first several months in my new city were hard. I worked long hours to impress myself at my new job and avoid thinking about the past. I toured my new neighborhood and sought to engage with coworkers and neighbors on weekends. It took time to feel like myself again. I rejoined a gym and got fit. I started rock climbing and photography. I went on some casual dates, but I wasn't ready for anything serious. I occasionally worry how Melanie is recovering, but less often. I've recognized our chapter is over and am starting my new novel. My family has supported my move and new life. My mom loves seeing me heal and move on. My dad now realized that sticking with Melanie out of guilt wasn't healthy for anyone. I learned resilience and self-care from this whole process. Despite others' judgment, I've learned to prioritize my own pleasure and well-being. I'm stronger after this year, yet I'm different. As I start my new life, I'm cautiously optimistic. Melanie's betrayal and its ramifications will always haunt me. I'm not defined by it. I'm excited for the next chapter.